Well, guys, a couple of special things here for you today. I've got an unboxing and short review of a vehicle that I've been looking for in the MOTU Origins line for a while, as well as a Mattel Creations exclusive.
Hey, kid. Yeah, you. Everyone thinks toys are fun, but this is a channel for adults. Yeah, I said it. If you're under the age of 18, go get your parents before you come in here. If you're under the age of 13, scram! Let's get on with the show.
Normally, I would say at the risk of burying the lead, but if you can read a title or see a title card, you know which Mattel Creations exclusive figure I'm talking about. That would be Tri-Klops. You know, the based on the comic fan voted variant. He's a well-constructed figure. He's an Origins figure, does exactly what he's supposed to. By the way, if you want to see the packaging, look at one of my previous videos here. It's the surprise unboxing from 2 or 3 days ago. Bear in mind, those of you that are really keen on keeping things on card, I get a little aggressive about unboxing that figure. So just bear in mind. But this is just my thoughts on the figure itself. The packaging is great. I like the way that it was made. I like the presentation very much, but I like to keep my figures out. So that's what we're going to talk about. I don't have a ton to say about him in general, except to say that he is well constructed. His feet seem more secure than most Origins figures. And the paint deco, there are some interesting choices here. I realize he's got to be accurate to that mini comic, but where I think they could have made some really great strides is that there's no paint deco on his eyebrows to give depth or contrast to his visor, you know, to his different eyes. I think that's a really poor decision on their parts. I think there should have been some kind of work done to add more texture through paint deco. The color scheme is not my favorite, although it is evocative of the comic, and I love the way he's portrayed character-wise in the comic. So it's kind of a trade-off in that respect, where he looks the part. It reminds me of a great time in Masters of the Universe history. When you put it in the 3D like this, it's not really the same thing. So I'm glad this figure exists. I like his sword. I like the overall way he's been presented here, as it is accurate. But I think that somewhere between the traditional TriKlops and this is probably where his best look would live. So I wish I had been able to get two of them, only because, and again, I'm not trying to say that anyone else shouldn't have him. I think everyone should get this figure if they want it. But if it ever goes up for order again, I am going to get another one, because I want to experiment with the painting scheme on his vest, and then, you know, also try to add those details that I'm missing. I don't want to customize this figure just because he's the only one I have, and we don't know if we're going to get more. If they re-release this in any other format or do another run, I would like to get a second one just to see if I can experiment and have some fun with the paint scheme. I like this shoulder pad sash kind of thing very, very much. I like the way that it's been painted. And I think that if you were to experiment more with some darker green to contrast the lighter green, and then leave the sash as it is, leave this red stripe down the center as it is, overall, you're looking at a pretty interesting figure. Color scheme, I don't know. I'm not a customizer. I don't really do that sort of thing all that much. But looking at this figure, I see a lot of potential. And as a result, I want to tinker. But if you weren't able to get your hands on him, I really do have empathy for you. For those of you that did get him, I'm just as happy as you are that he shipped when he did. I'm lucky to have him. But at the same time, it just continues to shed light on the whole Mattel Creations fiasco after PowerCon, that something's not right here. So unfortunately, I associate him with that. So maybe there's a bit of a tainted bias or something like that. I don't know. But he's a great figure, and for those of you who were able to get him, I think you'll like him. And for everyone else, I hope that he becomes available to you very, very soon, because he's worth it. Now, I did also promise you a vehicle review, so here we go. The Wind Raider. I have never had a Wind Raider ever in my life until now. It's always been iconic, and although it does have that iconic, that icon status, the original was kind of stubby relative to the scale of the figures, and it reflected. This, on the other hand, is, by all accounts, very much to scale of the figures. I want to point out that this was delivered by Amazon, who somehow managed to tear a flap in the bottom. And I've kind of made the decision that that is what it is, and I'm going to open this vehicle and enjoy it and love it. So let's do that. Box cutter, my little box cutter. Because I plan on keeping the box, I am cutting both sides here so that I can flatten it. I like doing that. The idea for me being that I like to preserve this packaging for the artwork, which, by the way, is beautiful. Just beautiful. I don't see any major Easter eggs here, except there is a Skeletor variant of the Wind Raider on the box. So hopefully they'll be getting some more use out of this sculpt, and we'll see more of it. Whoa, I just realized these parts just come out. So this is the flying stand, which is meant to match with Castle Grayskull, which, for those of you that don't know, I do have one. He's just still in the box yet. Got your handy instructions here, which is nice. I probably won't need them, but it's good to know. And just like with a couple other figures, you've got these pegs here that are designed to help you put the vehicle back on the backing. And I think this is a really cool feature that Mattel have done, where they're trying to be more collector-friendly in some ways, to the point that trying to be more collector-friendly in the sense that they know some people are going to want to take it out, mess with it, put it back in the box, and they want to have that option. And I think that, with the exception of the wings, that's a relatively simple thing to achieve based on my experience so far. Looks like there's a rubber band in here I got to cut. I want to be careful that I don't cut the cable here. And I'll even keep the intact rubber band along with these plastic guys, because we're going to try and put them back in the package when we're finished. I don't have any real need to believe that this is actually going to work, because I don't think the wings come back out once you put them in. So you'll be able to lay them back in there, but that's going to be about it. So I don't particularly care for that. Makes it easy to get them out, but if I want to display this in the box, which, again, I'm not a huge proponent of, I just like having options. Okay, the wings almost fell out on me. I almost stabbed myself with my box cutters. There's the fin. Okay, cool. And put away this dangerous device. So there's our inner packaging, free and clear of anything else. I'm going to go ahead and put the fin on here. I want to see right away if I can unhook it by some chance. It would take some force. There's a fair tension on it. You can do it, but I really don't recommend it. So it clamps on there pretty good. Now I have a feeling that once I put these wings in, they're not going to come out. Make sure to read the directions to make sure there's not a specific way of putting the wings in that I'm not privy to. They look identical on both sides, but you never know. Nope. Okay, so it does say that the stand, once you put it together, you can't take it apart. As far as the wings go, though, it doesn't say that, because it specifically calls out one-time assembly for the stand. Okay, these do come out. Okay, cool. So the wings are a lot easier to take off than the fin, but there's still something that you want to be careful about, I'm sure. So I wouldn't make a habit of, like, taking this thing apart a whole lot. So for me, I am going to be taking this apart to put back in the box just for ease of storage for right now. But other than that, I'm going to... happily display him out. I will not be putting the flight stand together today. I do have flight stands from the Sky Sled. I know they work well, but I also know that you can't take them apart once you have them together. So, well, this is a great vehicle. Like the deco on it's very good. Decals are already applied. It's just kind of great. This hook does not appear to have a button that you press. Oh wait, it's right there. It'd help if I actually put it all the way in, huh? That's pretty cool. I like that. I don't know if it has enough force to do that if it's completely spooled like this, but let's find out. It's all the way in. Huh, actually works pretty well. I am impressed. I know how notoriously finicky this contraption is inside of the original. I'm going to leave it hooked in the front, but it's a cool play feature that I rather like. I am now going to see about putting He-Man inside of the Wind Raider. I've heard varying degrees of success with getting him to sit in here and have it look convincing. I'm going to have my own go of it. I can see right away where the challenges are because you can't quite get him a perfect kind of sitting position. I am not completely unconvinced that this is a good sitting position for me. It's a little high up in there. So we're going to try and push him forward a bit and see if we can manipulate the seating otherwise. I think I know where I want to go with this idea, but I don't know if it's actually going to work. I pull him out to where this sword scabbard is just kind of hitting the top. That seems to be the most convincing way to do it, which again, not my absolute favorite, not the most aerodynamic, but in scale it still works. This is really neat. Got some great wheels on the bottom for rolling purposes, so you can just kind of very smooth operation. Smooth operator. It's a great vehicle. I'm glad to finally have one, man. This has been I never had one as a kid, like I said, and getting one lately has been a little bit more difficult than one would anticipate, but I was able to get one on Amazon at retail price. Other places you would have had to pre-order, and I'm glad to have it. Very cool. Very little work required on my part. He-Man looks great in it. What more can you say? Oh, we can try to get him back in the packaging though, huh? So on the shield, you see it's got this slot for his hand plus this here. What I have found, if you stick the axe or the sword through that top, then you can put this part here below the scabbard and then thread the axe through there, then pushing the top end through. And in essence, with a little bit of fiddly work, you have his axe and his shield on his back. Very much displayable. It's not meant for this purpose, but it does work well. So if you want to keep his accessories with him while he's holding the sword, you can absolutely do that, and it makes tactical sense too. Just stand him over here next to Skeletor. If y'all follow me on Instagram, I post about a picture a day of these two chuckleheads, just having some fun. Might be a hint of something else to come. You never know. Never know. In the meantime, let's get old Wind Raider back into the packaging if we can. You just gently ease out the wings. They do come right out relatively simply. This is the part that I am a little bit concerned about. You have to pull up on this and then pull it off like that. Now this is flexible plastic, so you should be able to do it, but you don't want to be too forceful, otherwise you're going to break something. Granted, again, this is softer plastic. That should be okay, but you never want to take more risk than you have to. So it looks like the wheels have these holes, the handy holes to line up with, which makes things very simple, I hope. Perfect. Locked right in, no problem. So now we have to put the grappling hook back into this. This was not taped in or anything like that. we should just be able to lock it in here. So that's in there. Not picture perfect, but it's there. Now what we run into from here is that the fin was down here-ish, and then the wings were kind of tucked away at the top. So I have a theory on that. So my theory on the wings and the tail fin are not to try and put them where they were, put them where they fit. So in this case, I can just put the wings right inside of the fuselage here, and they fit nice and snug. Pardon me. I don't think this will fit. Okay, it doesn't fit with the wing. Aha, there we go. So if you put the two wings in the same direction with the peg out here, you take this, essentially put it like that. Fits in there very, very easily. Now it might rattle around in there, you know, but ultimately, this is still a very effective way of keeping everything together, at least to get it inside of the box. So now it's going to be a finagle to get it back into the box proper. And midway through, I have to remember to get the stand in there as well. So this is what it looks like back in the box and the way that we packed it. Now, obviously, no one's going to believe this is retail fresh. But in terms of storing it and having it in the box for any reason you want, this works. So the way it is in the back with the, a flight stand, is that what you want to call it? Flying display is what they call it. I apologize. The way that works, I thought it was the two pieces stacked in the back. They're side by side to minimize their influence on the depth of the box, okay? So if you're putting this back in the box, where they go side to side, and then the instructions kind of go behind them, and it all fits right there. So the Wind Raider is really full of great play features. You can take it apart with relative ease if you're careful. I think it would stand up to play. It displays nice in or out of the box, and if you do put it back in the box, it at least is practical enough to allow you to get it in there, even if it's going to be difficult to get it back to new in the box display ready. Then again, if that's important to you, you probably wouldn't have taken it out of the box in the first place. All of that said, I do think that Mattel needs to go just a tiny bit further with, you know, continuing to have ways that these vehicles can be reboxed and redisplayed. You might notice I didn't end up reusing the seat protector piece or the intact rubber bands, but I am going to be keeping them so that if while it sits up on display for storage with my, you know, the rest of my toys that are in bins right now, if I see something that looks a bit untoward, if it bothers me, I'll take a minute and repack it. It shouldn't take a whole lot of effort on my part to make that happen. But it's clear they took some care in packing the thing to where it looks nice, but it's practical to get out. Getting it back in, yeah, needs some work. There you go. I love me, the Wind Raider. I am very pleased with the fan-voted TriKlops. Obviously, there's a lot of work for Mattel to get things pitch perfect in these matters. And I think the most frustrating thing for us as collectors is that they're so close. I think the toys are great, but the distribution sucks, availability sucks, and the ability to get it, especially when it's an exclusive, that continues to be a problem. But the toys themselves have been a joy to collect and play with. So, granted, that's a weird balance to strike, but the fact is, if the toys weren't so desirable and so well done and fun to play with and collect and display, I don't think we're complaining quite as much about Mattel's distribution because we wouldn't be buying their product. So Mattel, we like what you make it easier for people to get it at retail prices. And maybe take that little tiny step further with regard to being able to rebox these items so that people can keep them. I see the work you're doing with Sunman and a couple other figures out there. trying to make sure that those even figure packaging can be sustainable as a display item. And I hope that you will continue to do that. I would pay an extra $1 retail. I'd pay an extra $1 for every figure you put out if you made the packaging more reusable in some fashion. I realize that that also would make it somewhat of a, let's say, stealable item. So I know it's a hard R&D thing to film, but if you could figure it out, I'm in. In the meantime, I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. I wish that all your grinds will be merry, all of your card backs are unwrinkled, and that you can find anything you want whenever you want it at the right price.